Thanks so much for joining me. I'll be showing you in this video how to make this cute little jacket for the little Bella doll. It's nice and simple to do, and you can see from these other little three that you can mix and match your colors and vary the style a little. These two here, they're the same pattern, but they just don't have any sleeves. And these two here, there's just a tiny little bit of difference in the collars, which I do talk about when we're making this little red one over here. So let's get started and make a little jacket. I'll be sticking with this crochet cotton that I've been using throughout the videos for the Bella doll, and it's just Create Handmade, and it's a 4-ply crochet cotton, and I'll be using the same hook, a 3mm crochet hook. And you can use any crochet cotton that you like. I'm not sponsored or anything like that. I've just been using this one just to keep things nice and uniform and sticking with the same size hook and thread throughout the Bella videos. So we'll begin the jacket with a chain of 17, and so then you'll just need a slip knot, and I just hold my thread in front of my fingers like this, and then just wrap it twice around my finger, and then just take the front loop, push that to the back, and then take the front loop again and put that one to the back, and then grab that front loop again and pull up on that, and it's a nice simple slip knot. You can do your own little methods. So now we're going to be chaining 17 chains, and you want to keep your tension nice and relaxed for this first row, sorry. And we'll do 17 chains, and I'll meet you at the 17th chain. So I have my 17 chains in a nice relaxed tension. Now we're just going to skip this first chain here because we use that for the purpose of the turn for the next row. So we're going to skip that first chain and then go into the second chain from the hook, and then just single crochet 16 single crochets across, and that will start to create the little neckline. I actually just go into the top loop, but you can go under 2 of the loops if you like. I just find it nice and easy to go just under that top one, and I'll meet you at the other end, and you should have 16 single crochets by the time you get there. And single crochet number 16 brings us to the end of row 2. So now we're going to be doing a chain 1, which we'll be doing at the end of every row. So we're just going to chain and turn your work around. So now for this next one, we're just going to be adding a few increases, and there's a couple of little sequences in this row, and the first part of the sequence is to increase 1 and single crochet 1 in the next stitch 4 times. So this is the chain that you made when we just made that chain to turn, and the first stitch is this little V here. So you want to go into this V and put an increase 1 of the single crochets. So you're just going under that V and pop a single crochet in there, and then just go back into that same stitch and then put another single crochet in there, and that will give you your increase. So that's the first increase, and then the very next one into the next stitch under that V is a single crochet. So you want to do that 4 times, and then the sequence will be reversed once you've done this 4 times. So here's the second one, so we'll increase again, so into that V, and then another stitch into that same V, into that same stitch, and we have our second increase, and then into the next stitch under the little V there is the single crochet. So continue on until you have 4 of those. So I'm just finishing off that fourth one, the fourth set of increase one and then single crochet one. So now we're just going to reverse that sequence, and we're going to be doing the single crochet one first and then increase one. So we'll just go into the very next stitch under that V. So we'll just do a single crochet one, and then into the very next stitch we'll be putting our increase in there, so under the full stitch, under the V, and back in again into that same stitch to make that increase. So you just want to be doing that 4 times as well. So that's 1 there, and you do 3 more, and I'll meet you at the very end. And we have 2 more stitches left, so we'll just be doing our single crochet and finishing off with the increase in the very last stitch. Now this last stitch sometimes is a little bit tricky to spot, but if you just turn the work towards you a little, you'll see here that there is actually a little V there on the other side. So sometimes it just faces the other way, and it's a little bit tricky to spot. So just make sure you get that very last stitch under there, under both those strands, and pop your final increase into there, because that was the sequence of single crochet 1, increase 1, 4 times. So now we have a total of 24 stitches and just a nice little band. And then we just want to chain 1 again. And this time we're going to be doing the same little routine or sequence where we're just going to be doing the increase first and then the single crochets, and then we reverse it in the middle and we do the single crochets and then the increases. So we'll be doing that for a few rows. So I'll just show you. Now you're just going to be going into this first V here, and then just pop your first increase in there, because for this round, which is round 4, you'll be doing increase 1. So we'll just go back into that same stitch again to make that increase, and this time we'll be doing single crochet 2. So we're just going into the next stitch and pop a single crochet in there, and then into the very next stitch again and have our second single crochet. And so you want to do that sequence 4 times. So increase 1, single crochet 2, 4 times, and I'll just meet you in the middle. And this is our 4th set of the increase 1 and single crochet 2. So now we've reached the middle of the little top, and now we're just going to reverse that sequence and just do single crochet 2 and then an increase 1 4 times. So single crochet 1 and into the next stitch, single crochet 2, and then into the next stitch will be the increase into here. So you just do your single crochet and then back into that same space again, that same stitch, back in there to make that increase. And you just want to do a total of 4 of those. So single crochet 2, increase 1 times by 4, and that should get you to the end of the row. So now we just have that final stitch, which is, once again, just turn your work a little and you'll see that last little V in there, and the increase should be going into that stitch in there. So you just want to make sure you get both the strands, there we go, and pop your final increase into there. So that will now bring us to the end of round 4, and then we just want to chain 1 again and then turn your work around. So this time we'll be doing more increasing. So we'll be starting off with an increase again, and we'll be doing increase 1 and then single crochet 3. So increase 1, single crochet 1, single crochet 2, single crochet 3, and then an increase again, and we will repeat that sequence 4 times. So you're going to be going under this little stitch here, this V, and pop your increase into there. So we'll just do our first increase, back into the same space again, so increase 1 and then single crochet 3. So we've got 1, 2, 2, and the third one, So we've got our 3 single crochets, and you just want to do that for a total of 4 times, which should get you to the middle of the top again, and I'll meet you there. And the 3rd single crochet. So I've done the increase 1, single crochet 3 4 times across this side, and now that gets us to the middle again. And now we'll just reverse that sequence and put these single crochet 3. So we'll do 1, and in the next stitch 2, and then the next stitch is our 3 single crochets, and then we do our increase into the very next stitch. So you just pop your increase into the next stitch, and you just want to do that for a total of 4 times, and that should get you to the end of the row. And the final stitch of that is the increase, and we've just got to hunt that out. So that final stitch is sometimes quite tricky to get into, but there you go, under both those loops, and then just pop your increase in there. So that brings us to the end of round 5 of the increasing with our single crochet 3 and an increase, and then reversing that sequence. And the little top should be looking something like this. And now we're just going to be doing chain 1 and do row 6. So once again we'll be doing a little more increasing, and this time we'll start with the increase and then do increase 1, and then single crochet 4 across, and increase 1, single crochet 4 across, and we'll be doing that for a total of 4 times. So be sure to go under both the loops and pop your first increase in there. So there's increase 1, back in the same stitch again, first increase, and then now there'll be 4 single crochets, 1 in each stitch from the previous row. So 1, 2 and 3 and 4, and you just want to continue that 4 times. And the 4th single crochet of that sequence of increase 1, single crochet 4, and that brings you to the middle of the little jacket. And now we're just reversing that sequence as we've done in each single row. Is we're going to be doing single crochet 4, so 1, 2, 3 and 4, and then the next stitch will be the increase. So we'll just go into that next stitch and pop an increase in there. So single crochet 4 and then increase 1, and you want to do that 4 times, and you should be landing with an increase on your very last stitch, and I'll meet you there. And the final stitch of round 6 is that increase, which once again, it's a tricky little stitch to get into, so we'll just pop an increase into there. And that now brings us to the end of round 6. So round 7, well, then we chain 1 and turn the work around. And round 7 is just to single crochet 48, because we now have 48 stitches in our crochet so far, and so it's just single crochet 48 stitches across. And I just wanted to show you how, by doing the reverse sequencing, how it's going to create a nice little flat section across for the back, and then these ones here where we've done all the increases, that will form to make the sleeve, and then it has a nice flat bit across the back, and then on this side that will also form to make a sleeve as well. So just go ahead and do your 48 single crochets across, and I'll meet you at the very end of round 7. And the 48th single crochet brings us to the end of round 7, and now we just chain 1 again, and turn your work around. And now for round 8, this is where we actually start skipping a few stitches, and we're going to be creating the little space for the sleeves. So I'll do this whole row with you, and the first part of the row is to single crochet 6. So once again, you're going into that first little stitch, that first V, and you just want to pop 6 single crochets across. So we've got 2 and then 3, 4, number 5, and then 6, and now we're going to be skipping 12 of the stitches. So you can either turn it towards you and count these little V's. I just count the little spaces from the back, so I'll just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And then I just pinch that 13th stitch and just take my hook and place it into that 13th stitch under both the strands, so under that V, and then yarn over and pull it through, but don't finish the stitch, so just pull it through. And now you just want to flip that sleeve out so that it's facing in the right direction, and then you just want to hold it together nice and tight like this, and then yarn over and pull through both those loops. And that stitch there is counted as the first stitch of the next part of the sequence, which is to single crochet 12, which is across the back. So we've done number 1 and now number 2. Oh, I've got some fluffy yarn around the place again. So we've got now number 2, and you want to do 12 of these across the back. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, and then just 3 more, 10, 11, and the 12th stitch. So we've got 12 going across the back, and now again we want to skip another 12 stitches. So we're going to count 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12, and then just pinch that 13th stitch, and then just pop your hook in there under both the strands. So under that stitch there, yarn over and pull through, and without finishing the stitch, you just want to pop that little sleeve out to the other side, and then hold your work nice and tight together, yarn over and pull through. And that counts as the first stitch of the next little sequence, which is single crochet 6. So that's number 1, and then we have 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the final one is number 6. So there we go, number 6. So we have our 6 single crochets, and that then we'll just chain 1, of course, so that we can turn our work around. But now I'll just show you actually how that's looking, because it's just the start to the little jacket. So the way we've done the reverse sequencing in these rounds, it's actually created a nice little V shape here, which is what you want for the jacket. I'll just show one side so you can see how it's slanting, and then that will just create a nice little V type of neckline. And we will be doing a row of single crochets all the way around the whole little top, just to even up this rough looking edge that we get when we turn our work around. So now the next part is very nice and easy. So we're going to be doing round 9, and for round 9 it's just basically to single crochet 24 stitches across. So we've already done our chain 1 there. Whoops. So we've made our chain 1, and now you just want to go 24 single crochets across, and do be sure to go into these stitches here, the ones that are on, there's that little armhole in there, and you want to go into both these single crochets in here. So you should have 24 stitches going across, so we'll just go in there under that first V and do our single crochets, and I'll leave you now and let you do your 24 single crochets and meet you at the end of the row. So I haven't reached the end of the row yet, but I just thought I'd pop back in and show you how it's important to get these 2 stitches here where you've joined across. So I've made my way from the other side now, and you just want to make sure you go into that single crochet in there, and then the very next one, which is the other side of the actual armhole in here, and then just continue on, and you should have a total of 24 single crochets, and the 24th single crochet brings us to the end of round 9. So now we're just going to chain 1 and turn again. Now for the next 5 rounds, so round 10, 11, 12, 13 and 14, we're going to be doing single crochet 24 across, then you just chain 1 and turn your work each time. So there's actually a total of 6 rounds of rows. So there's 6 rows of single crochet 24, and then I'll actually meet you at the end of row 14. And this very last single crochet brings us to the end of round 14. So now I'll just show you what the jacket looks like, and of course we have to add the sleeves, but it's actually a perfect length for the little Bella doll and comes down to her waist. Now if you would like to do a shorter jacket, you're free to do that as well, and you would just end a couple of rounds sooner and then still follow these next steps which I'm about to do, which is to crochet up the front, all around the neckline, and then down the front again. So now to do that part, we're just going to be making a little corner, and that means that we're going to be going back into this very last stitch where we made the last single crochet. And first, before we go back in there, you just want to chain 1 and then go back into that same corner space as your very last single crochet and pop a single crochet into there. So now that just sort of takes us around the bend, that chain 1 and the extra single crochet in there. Now this part here, it's a good idea to just stretch your work a little so you can see all the little gaps. Now you want to go into this very next space here, so if you stretch it out you'll see that this is the hole here where you've done that corner position, and this little dip part down here, so you just pop your hook in under there so that you're under the full stitch and put a single crochet into there. And then the next one is this one right here, so that's 1. So we did the corner one, so we would count that as 1 stitch, so 1 and then 2 here, and then into the next space we've got 3, and then the next space down in here is 4, and then we have number 5 in here. So if you've done a shorter jacket, you won't have as many as I'm doing here, of course. And then number 6 is the next one, of course, and 7. And then that should now get you to the part that starts to slant. So then you're just going once again into the same little open spaces in there. That's number 8. And then here is 9. And 10, and then number 11, and if you stretch this up you'll see that there is still even one more space down in here. I might have done the tension a little tight, so in here, I'll just, not this one here, but I'll just stretch it out. So there you go, you can see that little space in there, so you just go into that one as well, 12, and then up into this top first chain that you made where you've done your little slip knot. You just want to put number 13 in there, so single crochet number 13. So now, because this is the beginning of the neckline, we'll just do something a little different. Now, it's a good idea to do half double crochets across the back, because if you do single crochets you don't have enough fold room. But if you just want a little tiny collar, you can do single crochets across the neckline. It's a good idea just to experiment anyway. So now, because we're going around that corner, you just want to chain 1, and I will be doing the half double crochets, so I'll be yarning over and then going into that same space that I did that 13th single crochet into, and just put a half double crochet in there, and then the very next space here. Now, for the jacket, I actually go right down into the next stitch down here rather than just into this top loop, but you can actually just go into this top loop. So now I'll be doing half double crochet again. Actually, I'll be doing all half double crochets across the neckline, and then just going down into that space in there. So put a half double crochet in there, and actually it will be an increase half double crochet. So that means we'll just be yarning over and going back into that same space, into that same stitch. And so we have our increase half double crochet. So now, after this increase of half double crochet, you should have 12 half double crochets going across the neckline. So we'll just continue on and put in 12 half double crochets going into those little spaces at the top. Oops, that should have been a half double crochet. Go back in there. So that's number 2. And now we have number 3. 4, and number 5, and 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, and then we have number 11. Whoops, I keep forgetting to do half double crochets. So there we have 11, and now number 12, which just lands just above the sleeve. And even though it doesn't look like you've got a couple more stitches to go, you should have, because we actually had single crochet 16. There were 16 single crochets when we first started the neckline. So there's a couple more stitches, and sometimes they're a little bit cheeky and they hide. But in these last 2 stitches, we'll be doing, the first one will be an increase. So we will just do an increase into the next one. And the increase just gives a more defined neckline, collar line I should say. So in there, and then another half double crochet into the same space. And then this is the little one that's a little bit tricky and hard to get into, but there is actually one more stitch. So you want to pop a half double crochet in there. There it is there. Put a half double crochet, and now, as we did with the other side, we're going to chain 1, because this is going to take us around the corner so that we can then travel down the front. And we're going back to our single crochets now, so we're going back into that same space with our first single crochet, and now we are going to go down the front of the jacket. So we'll just keep going down the front just like we did for the other side. So I'll just meet you at the end of this one, and then we'll be going across the bottom of the jacket. So I'm just coming up to the very last corner stitch now, the corner position. So we'll just pop another single crochet into there, and then because we're wanting to turn around, we'll just be doing another chain one, and then go back into that same space again, and that brings us to the end of going up the front and down the front as well. And as you can see, it's starting to form a little collar at the top, and we'll be doing one more. You can actually stop here now, but I've just continue on so that I can show you how to do one more round, which goes all the way around and back again across the top, and that will give you a longer collar, and it will also make the jacket a little wider, because there'll be one more row of single crochets going up the front, and it will be possible then, if you like, you can put some buttons or something and button it up. So we have our corner stitches here, and now we're just going to be doing 24 single crochets across the bottom of the little jacket, and you're just going to go into this first V here and put a single crochet in there, and just continue on as you normally would with your single crochet across the bottom. And as I mentioned, there will be 24 single crochets across the bottom, and I'll see you at the other end. And I'm just at the 24th single crochet here going across the bottom, and now we've reached that little corner position again. So what I do is I just go back into that corner space, into that first V there, and then make a chain, and that just gets us around the corner again, and then I just go back into that same stitch again, and we've just made our way around the corner. So for this next part up here, you can either go through the whole stitch, or you can do the back loops only, which creates just a nice little bit of texture, a little ridge, and I personally do like doing the back loops only. So then for that, we're just going to single crochet in the back loops only all the way up to the top up here. So we're just going to go into the next stitch, into that back loop. As I mentioned, you can just go under both loops through the full stitch, but just make your way up the front of the little jacket. And the last single crochet in the back loop only, going up the front. So now you're just going to do an increase half double crochet into this space. So you're just going to yarn over and put your hook inside that little space, and then a half double crochet, yarn over again and back into that same space, and another half double crochet. And now the very next stitch here will also be an increase, so half double crochet increase again into that same space. There we go, 2 half double crochets into the one stitch will give us the increase. And now you just continue on for the rest of the around the back of the neckline with half double crochets, and I'll just meet you at the other end and show you how to do the other corner. So now we're going to be doing a couple of increases in these two next stitches, so there'll be half double crochet as well. And as I mentioned, you can just do your single crochets instead of the half double crochets, and you'll just get a smaller collar. So now there's one increase, so we've gone in there twice into that same space, and now the next increase. Now with this increase, because we're swapping down to a single crochet, we'll do one of them is going to be a half double crochet, and then we're going to chain one, and now we'll be doing the single crochet into there, into that same space, and now we'll just continue on and do single crochets down the front but into the back loops only. So we just go into the back loop of that stitch there and continuing with single crochets down the front. And also, as I mentioned, you don't have to do these back loops only, you can go through the full stitch and just make your way down to the bottom, and I'll meet you at the end and then we can just finish off. So I'm just now here at that corner position and going to do this final single crochet into the back loop. And then in this very last corner spot here, I'm just going to be finishing that with a slip stitch. So just pull that through there and then straight through, and then you can just cut your thread loose and tuck in your little ends the way you like to tuck them in through the back. So this is how the little jacket is looking now with its cute little collar. And now we'll be doing some sleeves. So for the right hand sleeve, or yes, the right hand sleeve, we just want to be facing the back, and then you just want to take your hook and find your first available V. So if you just look on the inside here, you'll see this is the first V. It actually looks like you should be going into this space here, but that one there belongs to this row of stitches here, and it's not quite a V, it's just one little strand by itself. So the first V is this one here. So just pop your hook into that space under the full V, take your thread and pull that through, and then you just want to make a chain, and this chain won't be counted as a stitch, it's just the getting back onto the actual jacket itself. So now you just want to be going back into that same space again and do your first single crochet in there. And there's 12 stitches for the jacket, which is how many stitches we skipped. So you just want to go around for 12 single crochets, and then I'll meet you at the 12th one just to go through with you how we go across and join in. So I'll see you there. And the 12th single crochet. So now we're going to be joining across to the other side, and here's our first V right here, that V shape. So we go into that stitch and just go in there, pull your thread reasonably tight because you don't want to have too much of a gap there, and just do your first single crochet of round 2 and then just continue on with the rest of them. So you'll have 12 in total. So that's number 2, 3, and now you're just actually going to, now that we've actually joined across, I don't need to do the rest of the sleeve with you, but it's for 10 rows you'll be doing the sleeve. So here's the little jacket with the sleeve complete, and there were 10 rounds for this jacket here, and as I mentioned, it's a good idea just to try it onto the doll to make sure it is the right length, and do be careful not to do your tension too tight for the sleeve, because otherwise you might have a little bit of trouble pulling it over the arm. And when I finish the other side, I'll then show you how I sew up this tiny little gap on the underarm. So now for the left sleeve, you have the top facing the front like this, and then you just want to find your first available V, which is this little V right here, and then just insert your hook into there, take your thread, and then just you want to pull up a loop. And now just make a chain, and that just gets us onto the jacket. And now that's not counted as a stitch, so you want to go back into that same space again, the same stitch that you just made the chain in, and put your first single crochet in there. And just as we did for the other side, there's 12 stitches for the actual sleeve, and you just want to make your way around for 12 single crochets, and I'll just see you at that 12th stitch, and we'll just go across the way we did for the other sleeve, just to give you another look at how that's joined across. So I'll see you at the other end. Single crochet number 12, and that's the end of round 1. So now we're just going to turn the top around the little jacket, and it's a good idea just to put this thread at the back, because otherwise it gets trapped inside the arm. So just push it to the back, and now you just want to come across to this first available stitch, this first little V right here, and then just continue on, and this will be stitch number 1 of round 2, and then you just want to continue for 10 rounds of single crochet 12. So I'll see you at the end of the sleeves, and then we'll join up the little gap under the arm. So here we have both sleeves done, and now I'll be showing you how I just join up this little gap under the arm. So you just want to thread your tail here that you had when you first joined in for the sleeve, and then I just put a few stitches in here. The less stitches you can do, the better, I think. So now I just go straight across from this spot here, so this is where we joined in. I just go straight across and just take this front loop here of this stitch, so I don't go under the full stitch, under there, under that front loop, and then just pull that through. Then just find the next stitch, which is this one down here, and I just go under the front loop of that one. And sometimes I just go from the outside, sometimes from the inside, but I've found now that I've done quite a few of them that from the inside is probably the neatest way to do it, so from the inside, but it works either way, so it doesn't matter too much. Now we're going to find the next stitch where we've got the 2 loops, which is just this one right here, in there. So that's 3 that we've gone around, and that 3 seems to have been enough to actually close off the gap. Let me see if I can get this a little clearer. Here we go. So here we go, those 3 stitches, and then when you pull on those you'll see that the gap actually closes. So for the final stitch I just go back in the middle, in this middle section here, and into the inside of the little jacket. And now you just want to sew in your ends, and actually I'll show you how I do sew in the ends since I haven't throughout the video. Now what I do is I just go through the back of a few stitches and just make your way across, just picking up one little strand of each stitch. This needle isn't very good. I probably should have picked a different needle, but anyway. So there we go, just straight through a few of the stitches. You can go as far as you like. Then the trick would be to go into the opposite direction of those stitches. So now I'll just turn that around and then just come in down just a little below where I left off, and then just pick a few random stitches to go through the back of. Like I said, I didn't actually pick a very good needle, but anyway, this will do the trick for the moment, and then just pull that through. And now actually that's very nice and secure and shouldn't come loose at all. And then you just want to snip off your little ends with your favorite pair of scissors. And now the little jacket is actually complete. So I'll just pop the jacket onto one of the little Bella dolls so you can see how it looks on. So here's how the jacket looks on the little Bella doll. You can use different colors and mix and match all you like. So I'll just put some of the other dolls up to show you how they look in their little jackets. 4 little cuties wearing their lovely little jackets, and as you can see you really can create quite a variety by using different colors and just mixing things up a little. And if you enjoyed this video, I would love a like. If you're not subscribed to my channel, please do, because I'll be making more videos, and the very next one will be a pair of shorts, removable shorts, and then they can be turned into a pair of long pants and even a straight skirt. So please subscribe, and thanks so much for watching. Bye!